All right, everybody, we have new JP Dokkan Fest info, and I did a bunch of calcs for them, so that's what we're going to hop into. We're going to do a breakdown video on each of them and go into their calculations. So, first up, we have Super Saiyan Trunks, who transforms into Super Trunks. We are using the translations from Minato, so shout out to Minato here. Most of you have probably already seen the info by now, but I figured I would go over it, and I would go over my calcs, because some people have asked, like, like, how do you actually calc things, and I really only do defense. I've never actually tried to do attack. I'm sure I could figure it out, but, listen, I like calculating defense. It's like, you can see attack, right? Like, you'll need to calculate that. Defense is one of those things that you can't see, so I think it's more important to calculate. So that's what we have here. We're going to be going over Super Saiyan Trunks Teen, the STR Banner Unit Gohan, the Physical EZA Transforming Vegeta, and STR Gohan. He's like in the Saiyan armor while he's training in the time chambers. So first up here is Trunks. He leads Mastered Evolution or Android/Cell Saga. And then he gives the additional 30% buff, the full 200% leader skill to characters who are also on Rapid Growth or Warriors Raised on Earth. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this leader skill is not great. Alright, so I went ahead and pulled it up here so we can talk about his category. So right here, it is Mastered Evolution, Android/Cell Saga as our main, and then our extra categories are Warriors Raised on Earth or Rapid Growth. So this is what we're working with right now. This unit is like okay for some low tier reds. Oh, you can't see my. There we go. This unit is like okay for some low tier red zone stages, and it's pretty good against Broly. Whenever this unit released, they were kind of like hailed as the Broly killer. So I mean, that's kind of like their role. They're okay. They work well with some of these other like Gohan units too. This unit's not really great. This unit's not good. This unit's fantastic. They're still like fringe top 10. This is definitely like the strongest unit on the category. Waiting on this guy's EZA. This unit's bad. This unit's bad. This unit's bad. This unit's I don't like this unit. This unit sucks. They're like fringe okay. They're good for like the longer red zone type stages. Not sure how they would do against like the new Omega fight, but they're like okay. They're runnable. This unit's good for short events. This unit's not good, and then like most of these other units have fallen off. Like you could bring this guy, but we'll see in a minute that you're not really going to be able to bring this guy on the team because of Trunks' restriction. Piccolo's okay, but overall, it's just not a very strong 200% lead here. You know, it's nice, but it's really not very good. Like, it sounds good on paper, but it's really not very good. So let's get back over here. His 12-key super attack raises attack and defense for 1 turn and causes immense damage. This is nice as a, 1 turn 30% raise. Right here, passive skill, 2-key, attack and defense 150%. This is a start a turn buff. It gets an additional 100% and a great chance to do, well, he performs an additional as a great chance to be an additional super attack. They love putting that on characters these days. And a high chance of guarding when there are another 3 or more Android/Cell Saga category allies on the team. So, wait, what? Yeah, wait, yes, okay. This is kind of worded weirdly. So, he gets an additional 100% attack and defense, performs an additional attack, which has a great chance of becoming a super attack, and high chance to guard all attacks when there are another 3 or more Android/Cell Saga category allies on the team. Use the semicolons as, like, bullet points, as, like, what's grouped together. So, this extra 100% attack and defense would add into this part right here if this condition is met. So, he'd be at 250% at the start of turn. Right here, he gets an additional 70% attack and defense when performing a super attack, and attacks effective against all types when there is an enemy whose name includes Cell. Transforms when conditions are met. He does have an active skill. Can be activated when HP is 60% or more, starting from the 3rd turn, so his, like, 2nd rotation. Or I guess it's from the start of battle. Doesn't that mean you can just use it on turn 3 if you get him on turn 3, I think? Greatly raises attack, ultimate damage, and disables enemy action. I mean, that's not bad. Links are Messenger from the Future, Golden Warrior, Super Saiyan, Royal Lineage, Prepared for Battle, Soul vs. Soul, and Fierce Battle. Main link being Prepared for Battle here, so then he's on like 100 categories. So let's go ahead and look at the calcs for this guy. We're going to be looking at this top section right here. This is what I'm going to be talking about. So we can see right here is defense 4903. If we go back over here, 4903. He has a tech unit, so at 100% he'll get an extra 5,000 defense, so you add that in, and this will be his rainbow defensive stat. For 55%, you only add in 2,000 across the board. Every unit gets 2,000% to stats if they are at 55%. So, you know, like that's what we get right there. So you can see the difference. Leader skill, we're going to assume that he's on like a 200% leader of some kind. That's pretty easy. There's 2 leaders. 2 giving 200% is 400%. To include this original value, we include the extra 1, which is 100%. So it's a total of multiplied by 5 here. If that doesn't make sense to you, essentially what we're doing, right, is 9903, right, times 2 equals this times 2. Wait, what? Hang on. What? How did I set up an if formula? What in the world? Equals this times 2. There we go. Okay, so there we go. That's what it would be with 1 leader skill. Or, well, I'm sorry, that was the buff that they would get for 1 leader skill. So then times 2, or for 2 leader skills, you multiply that by 2. So this is the total buff that they would get from the 2 leader skills, and this is like the increase that they get. So you add this number, this 39,000, to the original 9,000, and that's how we get to the 49,515, if that makes sense. So we start here. 1 leader skill gets us this amount of boost. 2 leader skills, we double it, and then in total we get to there. So, right here, that's where we are. We multiply by 5. Links, we're just going to assume prepared for battle, which is 5%, so you multiply by 1.05. 0.05 being the decimal for 5%, and then the 1 is to include this original value, because if we just multiply by 0.05, then we would end up with... there we go. We would just end up with 2,000, right? So... obviously, you know, our defense isn't going to go down to 2,000. So this is just the increase, and then the 1, you know, if we just obviously multiply this times 1, right, and then we add the 2 together. There was a problem. Why is there a problem? There we go. And see, that gets us to right here. Also, keep in mind, Dokkan technically rounds everything down, and I'm just too lazy to put in rounding formulas in here. So we're going to be rounding up right here. 150% at the start of turn. Again, it's 150%. The decimal for that is 1.5. We want to include this original value, so we add a 1. So it's multiplied by 2.5. He gets 70% when supering. That's in his passive. So also right here, I highlighted these to denote when he's going to have his 3 other Android/Cell Saga category enemies. And then this right here is without. So... this will just be if you're running him on a random team and you did not have those 3 other Android/Cell Saga category allies on the team. So that's why this is 150 and this is 250, is so you can see the contrast in these stats. Give me just a second. I'm going to turn up the OST a little bit. Okay, there we go. So... multiply by 2.5, 70% when supering, we multiply by 1.7, and then on his additional super attack, he gets, or I'm sorry, not on his additional, but on his super attack effect, he gets that 30% defense for 1 turn. So that's what this is right here, so you multiply that by 1.3, and by that I mean this is that. You can see, you can follow like A7, A6, right? We're just going down the line. And then per additional, we multiply by 8.8. He's just going to get 30% per additional. So if we were to do 2 supers, we would do the sum of these 2. Right? And then if we were to do 3, we would do plus this times 2. Put some parentheses in here. Right? Oh, I guess I got to scoot this over a little bit. There we go. So this would be with 1 additional super attack, and then this would be with 2, right? Yeah. So there we go. That's how you calculate this. Over here, it's basically the same. You can see the difference whenever he has this extra 100% at the start of turn. You can see he jumps up about 60-ish K defense, about what, 52K defense, 52K defense jump at 100%, and then like 36% jump at 55%. And then you can just see his defense is definitely a lot higher once these multiplicative buff starts kicking in than... or like over here, like right, once the multiplicative buffs start kicking in, Because he has this higher like base number to multiply off of, these just get a lot higher as opposed to over here. This guy's looking pretty wimpy over on this side. All right, next up we have Super Trunks. This is what he transforms into. I believe, what is the condition? It's like performs like, you have to do 5 attacks in battle. Does it say on here? Is it on this one? Okay, right here. Transforms at the start of the next turn after attacking 5 or more times, or from the 5th turn of the start of battle when there's an enemy whose name includes Cell. Not really great. This means that most of the time you're going to get this out on turn 5. Right? Because on turn 1 you can do 3 supers potentially. Turn 2 you can do potentially 3 supers, which would then put you at turn 5. So it seems like they're guaranteeing you turn 5 if there's a Cell. If there's not, you may or may not get it on turn 5, depending on how your RNG is. I don't really like this. I also don't like that it's a like forced transformation, but it is what it is. Okay, so he still keeps the raised attack and defense for 1 turn and performs a critical hit for 1 turn. Not terrible. I mean, this is a guaranteed crit, right? So you don't want to, like, you just want to give this guy, or you don't want to give this guy crit because he has guaranteed crits here. This is the same effect right here. Right, so key 4, attack and defense plus 300%. That's up. You know, that's pretty good. And then right here we have, again, the semicolon down to here. So perform an additional super attack and guards all attacks for 3 turns from the first appearance. This is pretty good. Plus an additional attack and defense boost up to 200%. The more HP remaining, the greater the stat boost. So this is, again, an additive buff. So basically at the start of turn, if you have full HP, you will be at 500% 500% stats at the start of turn. And then he gets an additional 100% attack and defense when performing a super attack. Stuns the attacked enemy when performing a super attack. This should be a 1-turn stun right there. So pretty similar, honestly, to Dokkan Fest Super Vegeta. Active skill is basically the same. Links are the same. And then categories are the same. Let's hop over here. All right, so now you can see right here. He's getting that 500% at the start of turn. Over here, we're at 400 because it's at half HP. Just roughly half, right? I don't think it's exactly like if you're at half, you're going to have 400%. But I just wanted to kind of get a sliding scale in mind. So, like, you would have half of that 200% buff. And so it would only be 100%. So 300% plus 100% is 400%. That's what's going on here, is to just kind of show the contrast of full HP versus having half of that buff up. And I guess I could have done a third one for, like, having none of that buff up. But I didn't really I didn't want to. So... All right, so everything up to here is the exact same. It doesn't change until we get to this portion right here. You can see jumps up to 311k defense at the start of turn. You're going to double that when you super attack from your passive, and then you're going to tack on an extra 30% after that once you super, and then any additional super will give you an additional 187k defense, which is not too shabby. Means if this guy double supers, which he's probably going to be most of the time, which, I mean, doesn't he have guaranteed supers for his first 2 turns? You're going to be at over 1 million defense with guard once this guy transforms. So, I mean, that's good, right? The issue is this guy really peters out after those first 3 turns. So you just want to keep that in mind. And then again, even over here, I mean, 2 super attacks, he's going to be up over, what is that, like almost 900k defense. So still pretty good. Still pretty good over here. Alrighty. Next up, we have the Super Saiyan transforming Vegeta. Right here is leader skill. I don't really care about that. This guy is a good battlefield leader, though. I will say that this is definitely a guy that you want to use in battlefield as a leader. Superclass allies 3 key, 130%, and then pure Saiyans 170. This is definitely a really good battlefield leader. He stacks defense and causes immense damage to the enemy. 110% attack and defense. He gets an additional 30% when performing a super attack, and then he gets a bunch of attack when collecting key spheres, and he does like some other stuff when collecting physical keys, or when collecting key spheres. So, not too bad. And then, I guess let me show this real quick. But before we move on, let's go ahead and show this. I did do a calc for this. So right here, this first box. Let me scoot this down a little bit. Sometimes this. Okay, perfect. So right here. 11,754 is his EZA defense. I calc that. I have a calc running here. Right now it's set up for Int Super Vegeta, but I just have to plug in these numbers and then I get his EZA stats. I did actually post those on Twitter. If you want to see the full calc, it's right here. This is how I came up to the 11,754. Again, this might be slightly off due to rounding, but this should be pretty close to his EZA stats within like 1 or 2 numbers. Like literally, like this might be 19,401 or something like that. So pretty confident in these stats in this calc. This is just how it works. So anyway, let's get back over here. So this guy is pretty basic. 110% attack and defense at the start of turn. He stacks, and then he gets this greatly raised right here. Or, I'm sorry, he gets the greatly raised stack here, and then he gets this multiplicative 30% buff here. So we can go back over here and see that. So 11,754, again, multiplied by 5 for the 200% leader, multiplied by 1.05 for prepared for battle. I just used that. That's his, like, pretty much only defensive link. I think that might be his only defensive link. All right, then he gets 110% defense at the start of turn. Add a 1, right? You get 2.1. He gets 30% on his passive, and then the first turn is really easy to calc because there like aren't any prior stacks. So this is what you're looking at right here. The most he can get up to without support on his first turn is 421k defense, which is not crazy, and it requires a lot of luck. But you know, these stats pay off later. All right, so then you can see here we go 4, 6, 9, and 12. For the Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, the Super Saiyan Blue form. Let's go ahead and take a look at that information. So once he gets the Super Saiyan Blue, I assume everything just goes up. So I assume it'll go like 110, like 120, 130, 140, 150 or something like that for this guy. I'm sure that's how this guy will... in fact, I bet that's exactly what it's going to do. And then everything else will just basically stay the same. And then at some point, this might go up like 5%. So it might go 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Everything else is pretty much the same up until there. So now he no longer stacks, but he does get a greatly raised defense for 1 turn. It causes immense damage to the enemy. Again, this is still 50%. This goes up to 150%, and this goes up to 50% when performing a super attack. And then he gets like a bunch of, disable enemy guard, perform an additional super attack, performs a crit when collecting the entire board. Change the entire field to physical once you, like, that was always the fun thing with this guy, right, is that you transformed into this guy, and then he creates the entire field as physical. Like, that was always the fun thing. Then you would see people who, bring, like, Bulma or, like, physical GT Goku or somebody who then changes the entire field to Rainbow after he does that. That's always really funny to see. But right here, you know, it's just like an increase in stats. Now, keep in mind that any stacks he does going into this blue form will carry over. So I'm going to keep that as a multiplier here. And this is, we're going to have to talk about this in a little bit because it's a bit harder to explain. So you can see everything up to here is basically the same. Oh, this is wrong. I never updated this to 2.5. Oh, no, I'm a fool. Is that like that on all of these? Oh, no. I am a fool. Give me a second. I need to let people know that I did that. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I had to go update my Twitter post and, say, like, to a bunch of people. Like, I had to go apologize. So, anyway, here we go back into it. So now we have multiplied by 2.5, like it should be. So, like, everything up to this point... Ooh, no, don't do that. Everything up to this point is the same, but then this increases. And then what you're going to see at the start of turn is we're going to, I assumed here, like, that we got essentially 1 stack in each form. That's what this first one is. And then this one was with, like, 2 additionals. This one is with, I guess, 5 additionals. And then this one is with, this last one is, like, best case, like, scenario where somehow you get, like, the triple super in every single form. Right, because you have Super Saiyan, Super Vegeta, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan God. Like, you have those 4 turns to stack. And then each of those, presumably, you can potentially triple super. So this is, like, best case scenario over here. Let's get back over here, though, for the second. So this is 4 stacks. Again, this is assuming 1 stack up to this point. So you would just take this and multiply it by 3. The way to think about this, essentially, I think I did it better over here, maybe. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying. Here we go. Yeah, I showed it better over here on how it, like, actually works. Over, like, in the beginning, I was just kind of, like, a little lazy. So this would just be, like, 50%, right, would be 1.5. 2 stacks would be multiplied by, or I'm sorry. yeah, 1 stack would be 50%, which would be 1.5. 2 stacks would be 100%, which would be 2. 3 stacks would be 2.5, and then 4 stacks would be 3. So, right, like that's how that works. 50%, 100%, 150%, 200%. This is essentially a 200% buff right here, if you wanted to think about it like that. So that's what this is right here. I keep trying to click on OBS instead of like the Excel sheet. I'm sorry. So right here, then he gets 50% multiplicative on passive. Right? Now, this is where things get a little bit tricky, is this SA effect right here. So this is not now a direct 1.5 buff on everything up to this point. What this actually will do is add to these stacks. So essentially what will happen is this will be now 5 stacks, 6 stacks, and 7 stacks. Now these aren't actually stacks. They're treated in the same way as the previous stacks on the other turn. Like, those are true stacks. We stack those up. We have them forever. They are ours to keep. What these do is add essentially temporary stacks for the turn. The SA multiplier, the way it works, right, is that any multiplier created up like to this point is saved in like their like running calc of how they are coming up with your defense, and any super attack, whether it's a stack, whether it's just like a normal raise like this, those get added into your running multiplier. So I said right here, I keep trying to click out of this. So I said right here, right, we've essentially created a 200% super attack multiplier is what we've done, right? What this is going to do is increase it to 250. This is going to increase it to 300 if we double super. If we triple super, it'll increase it to 350%, right? You just won't be able to see it, and it won't carry over to the next turn. I hope that kind of makes a little bit of sense. Like, if you think about it in terms of, like, buckets, right? Like, let's say you have your start of turn passive bucket, and then you have your multiplicative bucket, and then you have your super attack multiplier bucket, right? That's kind of what we have here. So right here, this is the start of turn bucket. This is the passive on super attack bucket, right? So, you know, like I said, we have the start of turn. I forgot what I said already, but we're going to call this the on super attack passive bucket. And then we have the actual SA effect bucket, okay? So this is that on super attack passive bucket. And then right here and right here, this is all part of the super attack effect bucket. So all these will do is fill up this bucket right here. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, I can try to explain it better. And we'll get to better examples here in a second. I could probably rewrite this formula really quickly to make it make more sense. If I copy this, add it to here. I'm sorry, no, right here. Except for I want it to be a 37, right? I want it to be a 37. Oh, that's 31, 37. There we go. And then we're saying they have 4 stacks up to this point. There we go. All right. So you can see right here, it's the same number, right? If I Control Z, Control Y, Control Z, the number stays the same. All right. So we have built up 4 50% stacks. That is what we have done right here. We've built up 4 50% stacks. Okay, that's what this is. And then this is that one I'm always talking about, right? So this is our 200% multiplier. This is that extra one I'm always going on about. So that's how we get to that number. And so then we come down here, and the way I'm calculating this, right, is I'm taking A37, this 150% start of turn bucket. I'm multiplying it by 1.5. That assures us that we're taking into effect the 50% on super attack passive bucket. And then what I'm doing is I've increased, this is that same formula right here, this second half right here, this formula right here is the same as this formula. But you can notice that instead of 4 right here, we have 5, because now essentially we have done 5 50% raises up to this point. Now this will go away next turn, right? Like this is not permanent, but for the time being, that's how the game is going to treat this. Is essentially we have done 5 stacks, 6 stacks, and 7 stacks on this turn. So you can see we go from 4 here to 5 to 6 to 7, right? And then these 3 will not carry over to the next turn because these are only 1 turn raises once he gets to blue. Again, we can show that right here. I stay right here. Give me a second. All right, right here we can see greatly raise attack and defense for 1 turn right here. So you can see this is only this little bit right here that we're getting in the blue form. These buffs only last for the 1 turn. They still add into our running stacks here, but they go away after a turn. So I hope that kind of helps, like, explain the idea of stacks, like, and how this all works out. But yeah, I mean, you can see here he's getting up to about 1 million defense with like a minimal stacks here if he's triple supering. But even if he's not, like 800k if he just gets 1 super is pretty good. So then you can see here how it increases with 6, 9, and 12. Again, you can see the same thing. So this is that same formula with now 6 in its place, and now we have 7, 8, 9. Here we have 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 12, 13, 14, 15. And that's also why you can kind of see these numbers carry over to the other calcs. You can see right here, right? This is 8. Well, right here, this is effectively 8. Wait, why? No, I'm sorry. This is 7, right? This is 4, 5, 6, 7. So then 7 carryovers to here. Right, so we start out with 6, and then 7, 8, 9, and then you can see here we start out with 9, and then there's the 50%, right? So this is with 9, and you guys can kind of see. You guys see how this like all flows, right? I hope, kinda, maybe. I hope this kind of makes sense. So, like right here, this is 9, right? So that's why this matches. Except for then it goes up, but... anyway, let me know if this makes any sense to you guys. This one's a little bit tricky to explain. Let me scoot over you guys and see this one. Okay, there we go. So this is like best case scenario. Oh, God, don't do that. This is best case scenario right here. So I hope this makes some sort of sense. If this doesn't make any sense, if I'm speaking like foreign languages to you, please let me know. I can attempt to explain this better, but I don't know if I can. Like, sometimes if I just type it out, I can read it back myself, and it just makes more sense, but... The point here, right, the stacks, any stacks you do transforming up to blue Vegeta, those are going to carry over, and you will see those at the start of turn. And then any additional super attacks you do will effectively add into that multiplier, and they are not true 50% buffs. That's the important thing here, so hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. If it doesn't, please, again, please let me know. So let's go ahead and hop over to the next units. All right, next up we have the Int Super Vegeta right here. You can go see him kicking second form Cell. This guy's pretty simple. Again, I did have to actually calculate his stats, so that's actually what I have right here. This is how I calculated it. So he's sitting with 10,978 defense at Rainbow, which means he's going to be at 7,978, or I'm sorry, 7,978 defense at 55%. All right, we'll start with this passive because I like to do this first. Key +2, attack and defense plus 150% at the start of turn. He gets an additional 150% attack and defense boost. The greater the HP, the more defense like that he gets. Plus an additional attack and defense 50% when performing a super attack, and that's basically all of his defensive abilities for his passive. And then he greatly raises attack and raises defense for 1 turn. Again, this is just both for 1 turn, but so this is a 30% defensive raise. This guy's pretty easy to calc. So again, defense multiplied by 5 for 200%, 1.05 for links, because all he has is prepared for battle in terms of defense. He gets 300% at full HP, and again, I did the 50% HP over here, just like I did with Super Trunks. So this is 225%. This is 300%. It's again, he gets an extra 50. He gets an extra 70. He gets an extra 150% right here. And then half of that is 75%. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm also like, my mouth is dying. There we go. Drink some water. All right. He gets 50% multiplicative buff on super attack, 30% from his passive. Again, this is the start of turn bucket. This is the passive on super bucket. And then this is the super attack effect bucket. So all those buckets multiply together. 4, 1.5, 1.3. and that is his defense. Any additional he gets will increase his defense by 103,742. Again, I don't really talk about the 55% much, but this is what it looks like. And then over here, this is if he's at half of the, like basically half HP, as half of his buff up. He caps out at about 365. So this guy is not very good. I'm going to tell you this right now. 450k defense is not good. Even if he increases it, like you could, I don't know. Even if you doubled this number, I wouldn't be very impressed. Well, maybe I'd be a little bit more impressed if it doubled, but this is not very good. I'll tell you right now. For free, 450k defense is not very good, and he does not have like anything else in here that is like warranting him like being so bad. So not super impressed with this guy. Easy AM, you might be able to get some use out of him in Battlefield, but I don't think this guy is super crazy. And then last up, we're gonna have the Super Saiyan Gohan. All right, here we go. You can see he has insanely high HP, and then like his other two stats are pretty low. All right, he's not getting anything on his super attack effect. And then in his passive, he's getting this 140% at the start of turn. He gets an additional 140% when performing a super attack. Blah, 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 blah. He gets an additional key +1 in defense, plus 20% up to 100% with each attack received. And key +2 and defense plus 30% for heavenly events or Master Evolution category allies. All right, let's hop over here. So that means that Gohan, this is his defense, right? This is hidden potential boost because he's STR. He gets 4,600. Again, he gets 2,000 flat for being at 55%. So this is going to be his rainbowed defensive stat. On a 200% leader, you multiply that by 5. Links, right here I have prepared for battle. Over on this side, I have all in the family. So this is 1.25. This is 1.05. You can see the drastic difference. Right here, he gets 170% at the start of turn. You may be wondering why. It's because it's 140% right here, plus the extra 30% here. So for a total of 170% at the start of turn, multiply by 2.7, and this gives you his start of turn defense right there. That's his start of turn defense. With no hits. That's his start of turn defense. Not very good. All right, now again, this is going to get a little bit tricky. You may be wondering what this added to 140% on super means. Remember how I said there's like 3 buckets? We have our start of turn bucket, we have our on super attack passive bucket, and then we have our our super attack effect bucket. The on super attack passive bucket also includes like any other multiplicative passive buffs. Like those don't multiply with each other. Those all get added together. Like you basically either have start a turn or multiplicative, and all the multiplicative get added together. So that's why right here, this 100% actually gets added in with that extra 140% he does on super. But I broke them out. That way you could see if he's taken 5 hits, like how much defense does he have at the start of turn. So that's why right here, it is just double this line. So if you've taken his 5 hits, this is what he'll have start a turn, is this line. And then whenever you do a super attack, you don't get a true 140%. That amount gets added into here. So it's actually, the reason you're looking at this going 3.4, right? It's because it's this line right here, your original 170% start a turn, multiplied by 3.4, which is the 1.4 plus the 1, which is 2.4, plus the 1, to include the original number, for a total of 3.4, because otherwise this would be 2.4, right? Like, every other time we've just added 1. This time we have to add an extra 1 because of this 100%. So if we just multiply this by 3.4, it gets us his total defense after supering and taking 5 hits. No support other than, like, himself, I guess, but this is not very good if you ask me. So anyway, I am not super impressed with any of these characters. I think Vegeta is pretty good. I think this Vegeta, you can get some use out of this guy. If you get, like, the golden turn and you get this guy up to, like, if you guys can see this, like, 1 million defense at the start of turn, let me know. But yeah, I'm definitely impressed with Vegeta. Not super impressed with Trunks. He's, like, okay for a few turns in Super Trunks, but I hate 50% chance to guard units. I'll tell you straight up, I don't like them. And I don't think his defense is that impressive. And he's kind of forcing you to run a very specific team because it's 3 other Android/Cell Saga category allies other than him. So it's like Super Trunks are on a ton of teams, but he's very limited. Like, it's one of the reasons I don't like Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku. The game is basically telling you, hey, you have to run this team. It's like, okay, you can go use Super Trunks wherever you want, but he's going to suck. So you really want to have those 3 other Android/Cell Saga category allies with him. And people are like, oh, just run his team. And it's like, well, yeah, sure. Because if you run his team, right, the friend leader will count. So then you technically only have to bring 2 others on your team. So it's just saying that, like, out of the 7 units on your team, 3 others need to be Android/Cell Saga for a total of 4 Android/Cell Saga category allies on the team. Which at that point, 4 out of 7 is basically your entire team at that point, right? And you're going to bring 3 other units that work well with them, so... I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Dokkan. Like, I'm okay with them saying, like, okay, you have to bring, like, this linking partner, or, like, even, like, with Pan, where it's, like, you know, just have, like, a GT Goku. I'm fine with that. It's, like, whatever. I can bring one GT Goku. I can figure that out. But whenever they're asking me, like, hey, you know, make your entire team this team, it effectively makes it to where he's locked onto one team, and I don't like that, so... and then even once you get those other guys, like, he's not super crazy. Like, these are not good stats. This is decent, right? Like, this is pretty good, but I don't know. How often are you at full HP? Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I'm underrating them. All of these calcs are on Twitter, so if you're having trouble finding them, go check them out there. Let me know, and I can link them to you in the comments of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys next time.